Nice, everybody.
What?
But did you see the live? That was great. I like
Oh,
the
okay.
intro. It was really nice.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Unreal Engine live stream training stream today. It's going to be all about Minion AI.
That's right.
Ian here has been working hard. Tell us about it, Ian.
Well, for one, we were going to talk about the forum first.
We'll get to okay. Fine. Since Ian wants me to talk about this really cool new thing that I've done, I'll talk about it. So we've added in a new forum, which you can actually bring up over here and show the people,
Yep.
and I'll post a link to it. But there's a new sub-forum on the Unreal Engine forums that you might want to check out. Right now it's not very heavily populated, but over time we plan on populating it more. You can see under announcements and releases, there's a new sub-forum called Asset Sharing. Now, we found that, putting stuff up on the Unreal Launcher, putting it in all these different places can sometimes be like a bit much. So we decided to take our small snippets of things, the things that you see on the training streams, put them up on the forums, and then we can just link over to them. So you have access to them, and at the same time, it's also safely behind the EULA because that's how the forums work. So, cool. The
only thing that we ran into.
Did you just log in as me?
Yeah, because.
Thanks.
Well, I just need access to the shared.
But yeah, right now the current thing that's in there is the Tanks source code from the April 5th stream. So if you were watching the Tanks zombie stream, then you're going to want to definitely check that one out so that you can get the info from there. I'm also going to try to talk to a couple of our devs who have done things in the past about, retroactively filling it, because someone actually did come to me and ask me for Michael Nolan's code for the extending the editor one, so see what we can do about all that.
Yeah, the only issue that we ran into was we can easily change the upload size of archives into the forums, the reason that you're not seeing the previous AI stream up there. Well, there's a PHP limit that we needed Team Online's assistance for, and they're currently working on it.
Yep, getting fixed.
But they're super busy, and as soon as it's done, we'll start dumping all these kind of streams up there.
Yep. We'll put big
please.
zip files.
I know I said last time, it's like, it'll be up there this week, and here it is 2 weeks later. So I apologize. Unforeseen circumstances.
Progress.
Yeah, we've made actually serious progress.
Yeah.
So really, really excited. So, but to continue on, Minions. MOBA Minions.
Minions.
So, to answer the first question in the doc, before we even get going.
Yep, we got a question on the forums.
Is this somehow related to Paragon Minions? Absolutely. We have a mandatory playtest every day, so it's kind of been on my mind.
Yeah.
They are simple and complex all at the same time, so I felt it was something that we could do to try to kick off this idea of let's create a whole bunch of different genres AIs, and let's go from there. I mean, Mieszko wanted something more brutal. He wanted fighting game AI right off the start. And I was just like, maybe we could start something a little slower? I mean, that's going to take me more time to research, unfortunately. That's not going to be something we do live. But MOBA Minion AI, we can pretty much do live in a couple of streams. So, yeah, we will be basing this off the Paragon MOBA Minion AI, which is, if you've ever played a MOBA at all, you have your minions spawn, they come down the field, they fight each other, or if there's nobody else there to fight, but there's a player there, they attack the player. If there's no player, nobody else, they continue on. So they hit a tower, they attack the tower, and then they just kind of roll on that way. There are other additional rules that might be at play. Example, if as a player you attack an enemy player, the enemy minion AI that are within range of you will attempt to engage you, but only if they're not within tower range. Things along those lines. Like there are a set of rules that we can follow to make this happen.
Yeah, how far should they chase you out of lane before they decide to snap back,
Yep.
etc.
What is their perception range, and what is the difference between, when they are engaged with the player, how do they know to disengage once another wave of minions come in, and how do we do that efficiently and effectively across the board? Now, I will say, I talked to Mieszko about this. The one thing that we will not be able to really do is optimize. The Paragon team has a custom-built solution for flow navigation. So essentially the lanes, I guess, define a direction, and the minion AI just kind of like go with it, and it's really, really, really efficient for navigation. We're going to be going ahead and using NavMesh and creating a few bits to make it seem seamless. It is heavier, unfortunately, so it will have kind of a breaking point in a large scale game. but maybe we can get Mieszko on at the end of this section, at the end of this stream, to talk about how the flow navigation was implemented in Paragon, if he wants.
Yeah.
It may also be it's so specific that there's no reason to talk about it. But I talked to him about maybe it coming back into main. He says probably not in its current incarnation, but who knows in the future. So again, maybe we can talk to him about it and see what he can tell us to get us going on the right track to build our own. So basically what this stream is going to go over is this is going to be a quickie. I figure we're going to go ahead and build our project, create a bunch of base assets. If we get them all organized, name up some variables kind of just across the board, make sure our project is set and ready. If we end up with time after that, because we're going to be talking about why we're creating the assets as we're doing it, we'll go ahead and create a Waypoint navigation system. That'll be lane context sensitive, and it'll allow for directional, so you can have minions spawn against minions.
Okay.
But I don't think we'll actually have time to get into the grand scheme of things. I spent a good 5-6 hours on this yesterday, and finally got to the point where it's like, oh, they're spawning and they're moving and they're beating the crap out of each other. So that's awesome. But I think for the time that we have, the waypoints will just be about as far as we can get. So I'm going to go ahead and we're just going to launch up the engine here. It doesn't look like we've patched up to 4.11.2 on the stream machine, so my bad. We'll get that updated for next time. Projects. No, we want a new project. So keeping in the theme of Paragon, we're going to go with third person. I'm going to go ahead and do starter content. Is D drive the drive that I want? D drive is the drive that I want.
Yep.
So we'll D drive. Come on. Let me. MOBA Minion. Does it allow this one? I always forget that one. Apparently it does. Loading up on the other screen, I can't drag it over.
Surely can tell you I've had trouble with trying to drag stuff on that screen over before.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't even have to drag this, right? Like, there you go.
There we go.
Windows keys for the win.
Yeah, nice.
Okay, so we have our game. Got our third person thing going on. We have a lot of nice controls already set up. If anybody started this one before, it's actually pretty solid all around. It saves us from doing a lot of additional work. Really all we're going to have to do to our guy here is give him some kind of attack or some kind of way to annoy the minions so that they start to attack him. And I guess a team setting, we're going to have to work on that. It's another thing we should ask Mieszko to get on about. Hey, we need to create team settings. How would we do that for perception? He's actually received that one recently on Twitter, and the guy got to it. Pardon me, I can't remember his name. But we should see about getting him on for team settings or just somehow roll our own. Yeah,
because the friendly enemy perception stuff.
Yep.
Not working properly.
Yep. So I'm just going to delete all of this stuff because it is not necessary in any way or form to what we are doing. Sorry, doc widget. Sorry, text. Okay, we got a player spawn. We have our player. We have a plane. Let's go ahead. I'm going to expand our plane. We have something to actually play on. I'm going to take our default volumes. We're just going to expand those out to cover our area here. And again, this is just simple setup stuff and even to the point where building anything useful. Whoa, okay, this one's different. Oh, quick and stuff. What is this? This is the light mass importance volume. Let me see. Both of them do, it looks like. Okay. There we go. Put that one again. Now, we are going to be using nav mesh, so we are going to definitely want nav volume. So, nav bounds volume. Go ahead and drop that in world. And we're going to expand that out.
This is the most commonly forgotten step.
Yep. You know who forgot it yesterday?
You?
This guy!
You know who forgot it in the AI streams when we first started?
This guy! Well, at
not
least
this time, guys.
At least there. It wasn't like the project I was working at home where somehow the default got turned on to use nav agents only. And I sat there for like 3 days going, why won't my guys move? I don't know how that happened. It was a project I picked up after the fact. Okay, building navigation is showing, so I'm assuming, yep, we have good navigation, green plane. So we have our nav volume. Now we need to start thinking about the assets we are going to require for this. So I'm going to start creating a series of folders here. New folders, MOBA Minions. Or MOBA Minion AI. And then, did I call it MOBI?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, that's cute. We should just call it MOBI. Come on. Okay.
Hit
fine.
F2.
F2. I was doing the Windows thing. There we go. In here, we're going to need another folder. We're definitely going to need one for actors. We're going to need one for AI itself. I know, this is so exciting, everyone.
And labeling things.
Labeling things!
The stream.
Folder making action.
Folder making action. What was the other one we need? I think I had one for units, which is just whether or not characters or the actual MOBA unit guys. So for AI, we're going to need a new folder for tasks, services, decorators. Services and decorators. And the reason I'm doing this all up front is it's easier for me to remember later on that I have places to organize these things. So we don't chunk everything into one folder and I'm having to sit there after the fact and try to find things. We know where our services are going to be, where our decorators are going to be, where it's just everything is set up. And then we're going to need real assets now. So for our actors, for our units, we need a new we need a new character. So we're going to go ahead and create a new class, inherit from character. This is going to be our minion. And we are going to edit him real quick. There are some base values that we know we're going to need. And we might as well set up his mesh while we're in here. So go ahead and create his, select his mesh here. We have the mannequin. Mannequin is going to work just fine. And then we will need his blueprint asset. Or pardon, his animation asset. No, his animation blueprint. It's set to the right one. Sorry, it's all the way across the room. I can barely see it. And then I believe we need third person anim. Yes, there we go. So he's going to have the same anim blueprint as the player. Remember when selecting these guys and creating them, they start weirdly up. We need to make sure that we level him down so that way his feet are at the bottom of the capsule. Turn off snap, because snapping him down, he is at a very weird height, like 85 or 86 units. So it allows you to get him so he's actually looking like he's standing on the floor instead of sinking down through it. So we'll compile him, save him. Actually, he's facing the wrong way, so this is going to be hilarious when we actually use him. So let's rotate him by 90. There we go. All right, compile, save. Now we're going to need a few values that we know absolutely we're going to need on these guys. One, we're going to need to know an attack range. I'm going to, so attack range, what is going to be is a float that we're going to have the behavior tree reference. Well, let me rephrase. We're going to upload it to the behavior tree when my guy is created. So the MOBA minion is actually going to be two minions. It's going to be a ranged minion and a melee minion. Okay. The melee minion is going to have a close range attack, right? Of course. The ranged minion is going to have a longer range attack. So what we're going to do is when they spawn, we're going to say, hey, Blackboard, go ahead and set my attack range to 150 or 650, whatever, 1,000, whatever we choose it to actually be. So we're going to go ahead and do an attack range. We're going to make that a float. And we are going to need, what was it? It's an AI class, which we will, it is going to be a behavior tree. No, wait. No, it was not a behavior tree. It's AI controller, pardon. And we're going to need that as, is that off the screen, really? We're going to need that as a class. So we're going to have 2 AI controllers. Wait, no, we don't even need 2 AI controllers.
No.
Sorry, my brain was working very differently yesterday. Now that I'm thinking about it, this is completely useless because attack range handles everything. We don't have to worry about it because attack range will define the range at which we can attack, and so the minion AI is actually the same across the board. They don't do anything different. So we won't need that. We just need the 2 different minion AIs, and then the character controller takes care of it. Sorry, brain just working through what I worked through yesterday.
All right.
So attack range, that's really all he needs. I mean, we can have speeds and things like that, but we can modify those on the fly. Those aren't things that we're going to need specifically variables to handle.
No, because I mean the movement speed's handled in the character movement component anyway.
Yep.
So yeah,
So
that's already registered somewhere.
we are already good to go on that front, and quite honestly, keeping them moving pretty quick right now, probably pretty handy.
Yep.
Okay, so we have our minion. Let's go into our AI, and we're going to create a new AI controller. New classes, all classes AI, and I'm going to use, for now we're just going to use AI controller. I have a feeling down the road that maybe Detour will work better. It'll allow them to kind of finagle around each other, and we'll call this minion AI con, Control S. Nothing really much to do here. We are going to have it on begin play. It's going to do things like, run our behavior tree, and then once it's running our behavior tree, which we don't have an asset for yet, because actually if I compile now, it's going to, yeah. Oh no, it actually said it was okay. And then we're going to set 2 variables, or a variable, pardon, on the, no, it'll be 2. It'll be 2 variables on the blackboard. So set as bool, pardon, set as, oh, I'm being silly. Get blackboard. There we go. Get our blackboard, set as bool, and then we're going to need a set as. What are you laughing at over there? Is me being all.
Who said set as boo first?
I said as boo? What?
Who said set as boo?
Set as boo. Set as boo. Shells.
It's okay, Shelly. If we accidentally say anything, you have to censor the stream.
That's right. Actually, wait, you can't because this is live, right?
Oh, she has to censor it after the.
Oh, after the fact.
And she has to cut us if there's anything else that happens. So she can cut the line.
So we'll need a key. So I'm going to promote. We don't know what this is named yet. That's okay, because we'll just name it now. I'm going to promote this. So if you've never worked with the Blackboard outside of any of the behavior tree components, such as tasks or services, these are really kind of awesome. There's no casting to a Blackboard, but you can just simply say, hey, Blackboard, do you have a key named, oh, I don't know, is ranged? And we'll call it actually B is ranged. And if it does, it'll attempt to set it. If it doesn't, then it'll be like, no, and not even deal with it. So you could spam all of your AI with, hey, find these values, and if they're named as, do something with them, and it doesn't matter because they're not there, it doesn't bother setting them. If it is there, then it will adjust them. So I'm going to name the variable B is ranged key.
To be is ranged key or not to be is ranged key.
Oh, you're terrible.
That is the Boolean.
That is the Boolean.
Yep. That happened.
That happened.
So that's pretty cool. Then.
We're done here. Bye, guys.
that means that this is why you can use the same behavior tree for both, because this Boolean that we're going to feed into it, we're basically going to call it back later as we're doing all these checks. And if it's ranged, do these checks. If it's not, do these other checks.
And also, I mean, even if they weren't the same Blackboard, as long as the keys were named the same, they would continue to function. What are you chuckling about there?
Nothing. They're sending me cat posts.
They're sending you cat post? Oh, great. Okay, so, and then our float is basically our attack range. So we'll call it attack range key. And we will call the, okay, fine, I'll compile out. And then we'll call our key value attack range. So that one's easy to remember. I'm gonna copy this one out. Just gonna store that for a moment while we while we go towards creating our behavior tree. And we'll need to actually hook up some variables here. So we need to get this from somewhere. I figured this would just be on the minion instead of having it on the. I'm just all over the place. The mouse is really sensitive. Instead of having it stored on the AI controller, having two different AI controllers, we'll just store this information on the minion. So we'll go ahead and we're going to need to get. Okay, let's not do that. There we go. Pull this out. And I think we might be able to do this even on construction, but it's safer to do right here. Get pawn. Pardon, that's not an execution one. Get pawn. Get controlled pawn.
Did you mean control or control the?
Controlled.
Okay.
And then we'll cast, and we'll cast a minion. And the minion is going to know whether or not it is ranged or not. Actually, that is actually a really good point. I mean, we could do it just basically off the range thing, but we're going to quickly go back to our unit here for our minion. We're going to add another variable. And we're just going to add B is ranged. I mean, arguably, we could just do it based off of
the range being of a certain distance or not, but
yeah, but then that gets weird because then what if my melee is too close and I have to go find it and hunt it down?
Oh yeah, then we're just doing like a bunch of math where we could just do one Boolean check and it'd be good. Yep.
And so now we can just do get range and get B is, or get, what do we call it? Ah, come on now. Get range. There we go. Now we have both of these. We can actually just feed these in. Create a little bit of spaghetti here.
We're already getting complaints about the spaghetti.
Already?
Yeah, but it's only from that one guy who complains about it all the time.
You?
Amazingly enough, not me. It's Katatis.
Sorry, Katatis.
Also, he says you should put a print string after your cast failed, and I kind of agree with that, just in case we do fail.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Hopefully this shouldn't fail, but you never know. Absolutely agree with you, sir. Print string. Hello. We're not going to do hello. Cast failed. What did you do? Why is there chef word down in the corner?
Spaghetti.
It's canned spaghetti.
All right. Okay, so those have all been cleaned up a little bit. So now that those variables are properly plugged in and they've been cleaned up nicely, this looks pretty good.
Yep. We just need the rumor to come back for this asset, so we're going to go ahead and Control S all of that. So that we save. And now we're going to need a behavior tree and a blackboard. Go ahead and create our behavior tree. Call it Minion AI. And we'll create our blackboard. We'll call it Minion AI Blackboard. Yes, I'm incredibly creative with my naming conventions at this point in time. Okay, so now that we have our blackboard though, our behavior tree, let's go ahead and just set that. So we're done here. Our minion is essentially kind of, our AI here is done. Just one last thing we actually need to do. The minion, anybody remember what that is?
Oh, are you actually asking me, or are you trying to ask chat? Because it's going to be on a 20-second.
It's on a 20-second delay. Actually, I'm asking you.
Oh, I wasn't paying enough attention. You have to make sure that you're actually loading up the proper controller.
Yes.
When we're spawning in.
Good job.
And,
all right. So yeah, we get the appropriate controller. We're good to go. And can you tell what else I've been forgetting? Come on, man. You're supposed to be on top of this.
Let's see here.
Maybe some components for
I mean, if you wanted to be able to see stuff, I guess. Well, you give it a stimuli source, so now it can make noise. It can make stuff to be perceived.
Oh, pardon, It's on the controller.
See how perceptive I am?
See, you
All
got
of
it.
a sudden,
You got it.
I'm onto you.
You got it.
Yep, regular perception.
We'll give him perception, and we'll give the minion itself the stimulus source. Apparently we don't really need to do this, but just in case, we'll get it all set up.
Now, this actually kind of sort of answers one of the questions that we got about will this AI have multiple stimuli as part of its perception setup? But we're going to have the perception setup, but I don't think they're going to have. I mean, we could.
We could. Okay, so this is about Minion AI, and they do follow default rules.
Mm-hmm.
We could do a setup where you are permitted to attempt to sneak up on the minions.
Oh, but they can possibly detect you
But
through
they're hearing. So
that would be interesting. No, we should submit this for the Paragon guys. So like Kalari, it's like
yeah,
accidentally
Kalari
trips over a tin can. It's like oops,
oops. Oh darn! The minions detected me.
Yeah.
We can. If you guys would like to see that, go ahead and post in chat, and Alexander will see it, and we'll set it. We can set it up. It's not that big of a deal. Especially since I know that you ran into some issues recently trying to get the sound detection to work.
Yeah.
And because it's a little weird, you think, oh, it's sound, but it's actually just an event.
Yeah, there's like a make AI noise type thing you have to do and all that.
But yeah, we could do that literally on every footstep, and then modify it based off of your speed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then you could potentially be able to sneak up on the AI. I'm not sure what that would give you in the minion case, because they're pretty beefy and they turn on, whatever. But gameplay aside, we can show it, and it'll be pretty awesome to have something slightly different.
Yeah.
So, okay, so stimuli source, we're going to go ahead and auto-register our minions, and we're going to make sure that we'll just go ahead and add in. We're going to add in sight, and we're going to add in hearing. So that these guys are registered across the board for those. File save. Actually, hold on, wait 1 sec. Source. I don't think I changed anything else here. No, these are good. If I'm trying to remember the team thing, right? But the AI perception here is where we get into making sure that we detect across all the teams. So dominant sense, we are going to do sight. We're going to add in the 2 senses that we're going to use. For those who can't really see, clicking the AI perception component. And the AI perception component allows us to actually sense the world. You know, a lot of you have been through these, seeing us do this 3 or 4 times. For those who are new to the stream, AI perception is going to allow our AIs to actually perceive other actors in the world. Actually, technically other stimulus source, but currently a lot of actors get registered automatically. So back in the editor, we're going to go ahead and do sight config, and we're going to do hearing config. And since the team stuff is currently C++ only, we need to definitely make sure that we come down and currently have them detect across the board, neutrals and friendlies. Enemies, neutrals, friendlies. These are not currently exposed to Blueprint. I guess Mieszko, after the last time we talked about this, is working on it, but he's on Paragon right now, so who knows the time frame for that coming around. We're going to deal with it. And we'll need to do the same thing for our hearing here. So hearing, sense, detection, affiliation, neutrals, friendlies, and enemies. Now we can expand this out a little bit. Sight radius is really large, but that's okay for the moment. Loose sight radius is really large, that's okay for the moment. We'll come back in and we'll tweak these based off the size of them. Same thing with our hearing. His hearing range, his low sense and all that, we'll come back and we'll start tweaking these as necessary. So this gives our minions the ability to be seen and heard, the fact that they can see and hear, and we'll eventually need to go back into the character, our character himself, because he's buried down somewhere else, and we'll need to add a perception stimuli source to him as well.
Oh yeah, so that they can actually see the player character.
But for now, I'm going to leave that off. And there's a good reason I'm going to leave this off. I want to get the minions fighting each other first. So that's going to be the big thing that we're going to push towards first. And then we'll start getting into the specific behaviors that revolve around the player interrupting. Or being in the general field. So we'll get them moving, then attacking. Okay, so they can see each other. Well, they can see each other, but they can't do anything with their sight yet. They can hear each other, but they can't do anything with their hearing. They have a behavior tree, has absolutely nothing in it. Let's go ahead and make sure that we go ahead and create our 2 key values that we definitely have here, which are attack range and B is range. So go ahead and save those. I'm going to close these out. We don't need them for the time being. We can go into our behavior tree. to make sure we have our Blackboard asset selected correctly. A little trick here is if you make your behavior tree, don't open it, then make your Blackboard, it will automatically select and you will have your Blackboard available. This seems currently to be the most, I don't want to say stable, but surefire way to make sure everything gets hooked up without any weirdness. Like sometimes you have to close out the asset and reopen them. There's just some awkward behavior there with the two asset system here. So we need to go ahead, click our Blackboard, and we need a new key. We need bool. Oh, see? Yep. Spoke too soon.
What'd you do?
That's the thing I was talking about.
What'd you do?
It was the MOBA Minion AI. Every once in a while that happens where you have to just close the editor because the
You set off something in the
I did, yeah, something.
What did you do?
I don't know. And it deleted my folders because there's nothing in them. Go! Yes! Alright, whatever.
Hey, it's for the sake of efficiency. We clear out empty folders.
I think they're still there.
Okay.
But they're just not filled with anything.
Oh, okay.
See, here, watch. Think. So if we go in and we say, show and explore. No, we actually removed them.
Yep.
Okay, well.
It saves you size because you didn't have anything in there.
That's right. Alright, so back in a...
That's a feature.
It's a feature. Okay, well that was really odd. Okay, let's go ahead. We'll just do this. We'll go clear, Blackboard. There we go. Now we have our self.actor. Create a bool. This is B is ranged. Create another one, a float. And we'll call this one, what was it? Attack range?
Yeah, it's at attack range.
Then we're going to need a bunch more. We're going to need a vector. Move to location. We're going to need an object. Will be an actor.
Target actor?
Target actor. Man, it's like you've done this before.
Yes.
Weird.
You're always going to want a nice target actor in there
Yep.
so you can reference the thing that you're messing around with, or your AI's messing around with.
And the things that I've come across are things, these are values that I have put in, working on this on the side. B, range, range, check. And we need to do another bool. There's another check. I can't quite remember what it is, but it's like target check. So we're going to have a couple services running that are going to define how close are we to the thing that we want to be towards, whether that is a player, a minion, or a location, and that allows us to smoothly transition to what we are attempting to move towards. Currently, what would happen is if you move to a point, you get to a point, you stop, and then you redirect yourself. What we're going to do is have a very tight radius around completing the move to, but a large radius where we're going to detect about every half a second or so, where we're going to say, am I within range enough that I should change direction? And then we're going to update our move to through a more complicated move to system. Not crazy or anything, but it while active, the range bool will set off this cascade of things that happen that allow us to choose what we're moving towards and then smoothly transition us to them. That way it's like, oh, the player came in range, stop, turn, murder player. We're not going to do that. Target check will be whenever we need to redecide what we want to kill. So if my current target dies, if an enemy minion comes within range, if a player comes within range, or I move within range of a tower. So there's all these range checks that are going to come into play that will set off whether or not we change our target. Target actor, of course, is our target actor. If you didn't see what I did over here, guys, the type is an object, which is like really, really low level Unreal stuff. Your base class just changed to actor. This will allow us to get it as an actor at a later time and continue to use it. Our move to location, this is going to be our waypoint. They're going to be used for absolutely nothing but waypoints.
All right.
But it's going to be constantly stored. So the waypoint that I want to get to will always be stored. And then attack range, we've already gone over, it's our attack range, and B is range is whether or not our minion actually is ranged. So if the behavior needs to change for the fact that he is. So we're going to go ahead and save that. And close that one. And our behavior tree, we're not going to actually do anything with our behavior tree right now. I'm going to come back to this. We're going to go ahead and set up some waypoints here. And then we will come back, hopefully if we have time. I realize I'm running short on time and I'm starting to see questions pile into the window over here. We're going to create waypoint actors because we need waypoint actors. And because I didn't need that folder anymore because I closed the editor, actors. And we need a new blueprint class, and it is going to be of type actor. We're going to call it Waypoint. Wow, I'm so good at this naming. And
You think you're going to have one called Tower by any chance?
I don't know. Who knows? All right, so we have a waypoint. Really, we're going to need a billboard. And no, we're not going to keep it as the raptor head, regardless of how many people actually like the raptor head. And we're going to need another scene route.
It's a dragon head.
Is it a dragon head?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that's the Here Be Dragon's dragon head that we use for...
I thought it was a raptor head, but I guess it is more of a dragon, isn't it? With the whole frill thing going on.
I mean, either way, you know, I've never seen one of those in my life, so...
Yeah, who knows? Have
Could be
you seen a dragon? No.
You seen a raptor? No.
No.
All right, well, there you go.
All right, and our sprite that we're going to choose, actually, go down here to view options and we turn on engine content real quick. There is actually a waypoint, squinting, there's a waypoint little billboard here thing for us to use. And then we'll take our billboard and we're going to shuffle that up so that it sits on the grid rather than below it, like so. And now our waypoint needs to be aware of a couple of things. One, it needs to be aware of its lane. And this is just going to be an integer. We could, you know, create an enum for it or whatever, but at the end of the day, it's an integer. And then we need another one to know order. So we'll call it waypoint number. Suppose both of those.
So oddly enough, I actually found the literal post where Tim Sweeney says it's a dragon head.
Really?
Yes.
Well then, post that in the chat.
It's from 1995, apparently.
It's from 1995, are you serious?
Yeah, well, yeah, apparently Image has existed since 1995.
Wow, okay.
And UE1. So it's actually kind of a legacy thing that they've kept around. So that's like probably the only remaining component of UE1 besides chunk of
There's
BSPs.
There's the target thing.
Oh, yeah,
too.
the target.
Yeah, the target one.
So, piece of history right there.
So, all right. So
Sorry.
we have our lane, our waypoint number. We're both going to start at 0, and that's really it for this thing. We don't need it to know anything else or do anything else. If you're curious about maybe limiting stuff, this is not something we normally do, but we can limit here the range of this value. We know we only want 3 lanes, so we're going to go ahead and limit to 0 and 2. And that'll make it so that even if I come in after the fact and I start messing with these while they're on the field, I'm never going to be able to make them outside of the values that we're looking for. Yep, I'm doing 3 lanes. We could totally do this in such a fashion that is expandable, but MOBA standard is 3 lanes. We'll go ahead and go with 3 lanes. Okay, so save. And now that we have this big old expanded field, we can start to place these really, really hard to see waypoints. So I'm just gonna, do we have like an arrow thing? Don't do it. Let's open like just a new arrow, but that's okay.
You're just looking for an arrow actor?
Yeah, kind of just like, you know.
What happens if you type arrow into the search?
Nothing.
No.
There's no arrow component. I'm gonna create one, hold on. This is gonna be handy later. I'm gonna call it flow our team one direction. And I'm just gonna put an arrow component in it, and that's it. And it's gonna be huge. We like the biggest error component ever. Okay. Just gonna get like 5s. File, save. This is so that when we come back to this later, we know actually the direction we want to be flowing. So this is going to be our first direction that we want to go. Okay. Select those. Whoa, okay. Select everything. I'll pull them back a little bit. And then we're going to start adding waypoints. So we need an initial waypoint. And then we're going to need subsequent waypoints for the different positions along a lane.
All right.
So kind of just going to do this in broad strokes, like so. And then one last one to represent the return spawn point. Okay, wait, hold on. 1, 2, we'll just do 5 total. And this one will be like the end goal.
All right.
And before we go ahead and duplicate these, we can select them all. All right, we can select them in order. So this is going to be 0, and then this will be waypoint 1, waypoint 2, waypoint 3, and waypoint 4. Now we select them all, and hold Alt. I'm going to duplicate them once. And I'm going to give them a lane increase to 1, and duplicate them again, and give them a lane increase to 2.
All right, so those lanes are thereby associated by the kind of like movement
Yep.
points you hit on there?
Yep. And at the end here, there will be a tower that they attempt to get to, of course. It'll be the core. So now I'm just going to select these little guys out here. They are really hard to see this far away from the screen. And we're just going to shift them down like so. I'm not really concerning myself with the balance right now of movement speed because, you know, you watch a MOBA game and the minions, for whatever reason, their movement speed is scaled in such a fashion or the distance they have to travel is changed so that they all reach the center of their lane at the same time. We're not going to worry about that for the time being. We'll do math on that later. So go ahead and just line these up, and I'll correct the center one here just a little bit. So we end up with our lanes. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and lane 1, 0, 1, and 2. So now that we have these, what we need to do is, I guess, create our game mode to store all this information, because the waypoints are useless to us right now. Mm-hmm. We're not storing anything on the waypoint to say, hey, your next waypoint is this. Why? Because we have 2 teams, and they're both going to use the same waypoints to get from point A to point B. Mm-hmm. What we really want to do is just go ahead and store all these waypoints as a forward array and a back array. So team 1 will have array towards, team 2 will have the array reversed to come back towards them.
All right.
And then, of course, the core will be just sitting near the end of the waypoint, so they'll get there and they'll just be like, oh, I killed the core now because I'm at the end of my line. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our game mode. We'll need another folder. Yay, folders. And we'll do game off. What's a good name? Just game. And we need a new blueprint class, and it needs to be of type game mode. We'll call it MOBA AI game mode. And on begin play, we need to get all actors of class. And that type class is going to be Waypoint.
All right, we just need to feed all those into your fancy little array.
3 arrays. Actually, 6 arrays.
Right, because you have to have them running forward and backwards.
Yep. And I just want to be able to quickly reference them. I don't want to have to work out like, oh, this MOBA is, or this minion is team 2, so I need to look at array whatever backwards and stuff. You know,
yeah.
We're just gonna pre-process the data so it's ready to rock for us.
And I feel like that's probably appropriate for most MOBAs. I've never seen like a procedurally generated MOBA lane system. It's always been like very fixed because you couldn't really do it the other way.
Yeah, so, well, I mean, Paragon is flow, which is way different, but that's
Yeah.
also art setup on. I don't think maybe it's not art, but it's definitely there's something underneath the hood that defines like this is the way we're going, and you could potentially procedurally generate that. You could procedurally generate this as well.
Yeah.
But then we get into things like we need some structs, so that we can keep on recreating these arrays. And then how do we reference that array of structs that is each one has an array? It gets
exactly.
It gets out of control.
And that's
really
why
quick.
having a pre-baked level is really nice and easy. For this
Yeah, I know,
demonstration.
right? Like, but oh man, procedurally generated MOBA.
Oh man, wouldn't that be
That
fascinating?
would be weird.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely.
Like,
esports.
how hard is it to balance already? Like a regular
Yeah,
traditional.
and now you just
MOBA?
get a really bad map layout on your team side, and it's just like, well, all of our towers are stacked on top of each other, and theirs are all over the place.
I shouldn't have even suggested it. 'Cause now
This
someone's
sucks.
gonna make it, and it's gonna be really difficult.
It's gonna be the best MOBA ever.
Who knows?
Okay, so we'll just do a 4 each here, and we're gonna need a chunk of arrays. So create one. We're gonna call it Team 1 Lane 0, and so we can recreate these. It's gonna be a type waypoint. And then we're going to add one, add another, add another, add another. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, add a 6th. Control C, Control V, lane 1. Control V, lane 2. Control V, team 2, lanes. Oh no, team 3. What are you doing, Ian? I know there's a programmer somewhere going like, why aren't you using Team 0 and Team 1? I hate you so much. Sorry, teams for me just don't make sense at Team 0, Team 1. It makes sense for me at Team 1 and 2, and then for whatever reason, when things are like ints like that, it just makes sense to me to start at 0. So I apologize. So now we're going to need the logic that defines, hey, this is, which variables there of these are we going to use? So I'm just going to go ahead and get all of these into here. Get. And get.
We've managed to bother a programmer by starting our arrays at 1.
Nailed it! Okay. So here are our teams. Now we need to make sure that we put the right things where they need to go. So we're going to go ahead and what we're going to do is we're going to get lane from whatever is being passed in, right? And then we are going to switch on end. Love these nodes, by the way. On 0, 1, 2, and then we're going to group these up. So team 1 lane 0, team 2 lane 0, 1, 1, 2, and 2. And for the first guys, it's actually super easy. We get our what do we call it, waypoint number. Get our waypoint number, and we do a set array element to that index because we have no idea what's coming in the line here. We just don't. I mean, I guess actually we could do a select. That'd be easier. I think that'd be easier. Hold on. Brain. Let's do a W over here. We'll do one of these awesome select crazy nodes.
Mm-hmm.
You guys haven't used these? I love these nodes.
Yep.
Where we can filter in whatever we want. So we can do, instead of doing an execution split, we'll do a data split here. And we can just add another option. believe. Where's that? Anybody see it?
You're looking for add option pin?
Yes.
So you right click inside the node itself.
Is it here?
It was up, is underneath right
There it is.
Yep.
Awesome. You're awesome.
Yep.
I'm helping.
Shells with the eyes.
It's funny. I think just from having to watch so many of our ridiculous streams, Shirley has learned UE4 so well.
Yes. She's like, I know what you guys are looking for. It's right there, guys. Come on.
These guys.
These guys.
Always having to debug stuff.
Yep. Wait, does that work?
What?
This isn't by reference, is it? That's not going to work.
No, I think that index is not going to give it the proper.
Well, no, it's going to give it the proper lane. But here's the thing: this isn't passed by reference. So, yeah, this isn't going to work.
No.
Boo!
It's a neat idea.
Boo! I was just thinking about that. That's not going to work. Sorry, guys. It seemed like it was going to be a really good idea, but it wasn't meant to be. If it was passed by reference, maybe that could be something we look into as a C++ fix down the line or something. Because that would be awesome, being able to select the array. I mean, we could do it as, if we did this as a struct of an array of a struct that contained the array of the lanes, then yeah, we could totally do something like that. It works out to be a little bit different, but it would still be functional. Okay, there we go. And then we feed in our index here, creating a mess of spaghettis. And now we need to figure out our return lane. So we want to swap the index to be from lowest to highest. Problem is like we don't actually know what our highest waypoint number is. So that becomes a bit of an issue. We can make some assumptions, but that'll probably break. And really, it would have to be on a per lane basis. So why don't we do a bit of pre-processing? This is going to still stand, right? But what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and run a count beforehand. So what I'm thinking is this. I'm a designer, I'm messing around in the world, and I'm just like, you know what? If I had one more waypoint in the mid lane here, you know, right here, it'd make the navigation look so much better. So you know what? I'm going to add that waypoint. Well, I've now made assumptions in what I'm doing for finding my nav points. That would be like, oh, just get the total number of nav points, divide by 3, that'll get you, you know, your array size, and you can figure out where ones go in the beginning or end, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we can't do that, because now this guy has gone through and added an additional waypoint. So we're going to go ahead and count the numbers in the lanes, store those numbers, and then recall those numbers when we attempt to figure out where what our inverse path will be based off the waypoint number. So go ahead and save real quick. Go back into here, and we're going to do another for each. To execute off there. Completed will come back into that, and I'm going to get another array of type int. We're going to call this one waypoint counts. And let's see. How do I want to do this real quick? The waypoint counts, each one of these, it'll be 1, 2, and 3. So, go ahead and get size of 2 before we enter the loop. So, and actually before we do that as well, we'll go ahead and do a clear. Okay, so we've cleared our array, we've resized our array.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know, I could just use 3 floats. or pardon, 3ns, and that might be easier or whatever, but this will allow us to do reference it off the same lane number as we get over here. So we get target lane, and then waypoint counts, get, and we will do a plus plus increment. Loop, loop, set array element of lane index, item number, there we go. Move this up, move this over, move this down a bit, angle this out of the way, minimize some of the spaghetti over here so we can see it. So what we've done is our for each loop is going through and saying, hey, what's your lane number? And it's like, well, I'm lane 1. Okay, so I have 1 for lane 1. So I'm going to store that in our waypoint counts. So we're getting the value there. So if it starts off at 0, then we're just saying increment it. So it's going to go up by 1. And then we're resetting the same index to whatever that happens to be. Then we ask the next one, the next one, the next one, so on down the line. We should end up with what? 7 in each? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in each. So it'll start out at 0. We'll get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll know that we have 5 waypoints that need to be in an index of 0, that need to be an index of 0 to 4. And now down here, we can get that information for size. And so we'll just do a get here. And we, like so. And now we will be able to get, is that the, no, that's not, we want our lane. Our lane. There we go. And now we'll know how many waypoints are in that lane. So that we can figure out, okay, its index is this, what are our total number of waypoints?
Yeah.
And then we can invert it.
Yeah. So in a way, it's just kind of like the columns of lanes, rows of waypoints.
Yes.
And we're just extracting them.
Yep.
That makes sense.
Now, the one part I hadn't considered, and this is the math thing, like I haven't actually thought about how to reverse it. So, if anybody has the math offhand in channel, I know we take the total number in a lane, and what is it, -1 minus, no.
Wait, if you want to create the inverse? I mean, I would just create them all one way and then very lazily make a big rearranger.
You would literally just like create the arrays and then...
yeah, I would just make the arrays going one way, and then after they run one way, and I like set them all in, I would just take the lazy option and just rearrange my array and then plug it in for the next series. Because it would work, and you only have to run it once, so it's not like I'm running it every time a minion has to figure out where he's going, right?
Well, no, so... that's what I'm saying, but here's the thing, it's like, no, I'm looking for the math to reverse it, or to reverse one lane to create the reverse lane.
Yeah.
So... I'm looking for the math there, and if nobody's posted it up, we can do it the lazy way. I mean, you just do what? You do a for loop.
Yeah.
And then you do, you know.
Well, it's a for each because you have to do it for each of the waypoints, basically.
Oh, we don't have we can't do a reverse for loop, can we?
No.
Because we can't manually set index.
No, that's why I would.
That's lame.
Yeah, like the way that I do it is basically, I say the easy way, but it's actually a silly complicated way where I don't have to do as much math, and I can just do more rearranging the array I've already got.
Okay, well hold on.
Let's doing a for each loop and then running through. Basically, I would get the amount of waypoints that I know is in each lane, and then I would run the for each loop that many times to set them all like start to finish. That's it.
Right.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I think we just do this. Point number. So the waypoint counts will be +1, so we're going to -1 off. So if, ooh, actually I have no, that's not going to work, is it? Yeah, it will. Because if it's waypoint 0, we'll minus off 0, then we get waypoint 4. It's waypoint 1, it'll be waypoint 3, 2, 1, 2. Yes. Yes.
Take me on this journey with you.
Take you on the journey?
Yes.
Okay.
So what's your math here that you've created?
So I'm attempting to refactor the indices for lane. Let's just work it off of lane 1 here. So lane 1's easy, right? When we're going the primary direction, it goes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Those are our waypoint indices. For going the reverse, we want to go 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, right? But we need them to be an indice that is always forward. So we're reversing the array. So when I say, hey, I'm on team 2, give me my waypoint array for team 2. And it's like, okay, for lane 1, it is this. Well, what is this, right? That's what we're creating right here. Those are the numbers we're creating.
Okay.
So we're saying this one set of waypoints is now, I'm feeding it back to you in reverse. So what I'm saying is, what are the total number of waypoints in this chain? In this case, it's 5, because we've counted them, right? So we said, okay, there are 5 waypoints here. Well, minus off 1, because we're going to be working with indices. And then minus that waypoint number from the total number of waypoints, right? So our top indice will be 4, which would make it 0, or their first. And their last would be R0, which, so we're just basically reversing the numbers down the line. Does that make sense to anybody in chat?
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, I guess.
Because now what we can do is reference, what team and what lane. This would probably be infinitely easier with the struct, just thinking down the line. But we could easily convert this to a struct at a later date. Because we have hit an hour. And unfortunately, that means we need to roll out here.
Oh, yeah.
So, but we're going to answer questions really quick. And then next time we'll pick up with this and we'll actually get our dudes moving. So
Okay.
we'll get them moving down the lines. I'm pretty sure that this chunk is correct here. So I've compiled, I've saved. We are good to go. Not fun. Okay, so questions.
All right.
Will using the characters to use move nav walking instead of default move walking? I have no idea. What? Sorry. Let me read this. They will be walking on the nav mesh. They will be currently this will be single player. We can expand this out into. Sorry, the question is like, will we be doing multiplayer or single player with this? Currently, this is going to be single player. This is a demonstration of what we're doing. I might try to get Wes Bunn on here, and we can talk networking, and so we can see if we could get these guys replicating. Supposedly, it's really simple.
That'd be cool.
It could be rather heavy because we're using so much nav data. Maybe we'll just reduce the number of minion spawns from 6 to like 4 per lane or something like that.
Yeah.
But we'll see about seeing if we can get this to work in multiplayer. That'd be perfectly fine. It'd be a fun expansion thing to do with him. We could do it on one of his streams because I know the networking stuff. Like it's a lot like the AI stuff. We constantly have people coming in asking more questions on it. What are the benefits of doing one large nav mesh opposed to 3 lanes worth of nav mesh bounds instead of one as a whole? Does the engine explode and slap me if I do separate nav mesh bounds? No, you can do either.
Yeah, you can totally set up like I've done this before just in experiments where I've just made chunks of nav mesh and then had a thing just figure out like, oh, move from this nav mesh to the other. They just kind of don't have the proper pathing between them. So like if you have the 3 lanes with nav mesh and then you have a big jungle between them, would not recommend that as far as trying to jump between nav meshes because you're gonna they're gonna kind of awkwardly move between the meshes collision that you've made.
Well, there's also the problem of so when I just actually talked to Mieszko about this because I was running into a really weird issue with AI choosing the longer path, but it has a shorter cost. When you look at the nav mesh here, this will be actually a really good thing to show because I think this is project settings, navigation mesh. Give me poly and triangle. Okay. I might have to recast that. Nope, okay. So you see these polys and triangles here on on the ground. What happens is that when it's calculating cost, it actually calculates it from the center of the bounds of the triangle. So if we add in cube, we make this cube a little bit larger, you notice that we end up with a lot of interesting triangles, right? Well, suddenly our cost is being calculated based off the center of these triangles. So if we're attempting to go around this, we can end up in situations where NavMesh gets really kind of wonky. For the question at hand of creating multiple lanes, if I were to take this NavMesh volume, let's just shrink it, all right? And then let's do one of these. We'll duplicate it again to this. And we'll duplicate it once more. Actually, it'll be twice more. And shrink it. There we go. You'll see that since we are using the same navcast2 here, it is one mesh.
Yep.
So you're perfectly fine doing this. It's when you start getting into literal multiple nav meshes that exactly what you're talking about comes into play, where you have to be very careful on how those meshes merge together, because sometimes they're just not going to be able to travel correctly between them.
Yeah, we should have also, when Mieszko comes on, we should talk about how he tried to do stuff with, like, you have multiple nav meshes in the same area, but they're for different types of basically minion types. So one can fit through this kind of area and others cannot fit through that kind of area, etc. But
well, we can answer that right now because it's actually based off of your agent radius.
Yeah.
It basically, there's a smart system underneath the hood that chooses the nav mesh that most closely matches the agent radius and height.
Yep.
And just says, okay, that one. And if it's flying, I think flying is another key variable for choosing that.
But basically, yeah, as you go into your character and you're editing that radius capsule, that's what it's actually navigating against.
Yep.
So. But
we've created a weird issue, just like you were talking with the jungle here. Now our minions literally couldn't follow us into the jungle areas, which is kind of not acceptable. We kind of want them to be able to do such a thing. So having one large nav mesh and then altering the costs using nav modifier volumes would be probably the better way to handle that. That way they're just like, oh man, cutting through the forest, even though I really want to go murder the guy over on the other side of the field, is really too costly. I'm not going to bother doing it. So there's really no difference as far as we're concerned of doing it in this fashion. It's more just it took me an additional 30 seconds to set up multiple nav volumes in comparison, and we also still want to have access to the jungle to nav through. Recreate that back out, delete that one, and this one back. Now the expanded, does the engine explode if you slap me if I do separate nav mesh? Absolutely not. Use all the nav. We use them. Have multiple nav mesh volumes all over the place. They're super handy so that you can limit instead of attempting to generate your nav mesh across everything. Limiting it to the areas that you know you want to generate it actually makes it easier on the engine to generate it.
Yep.
Will this have multiple stimuli as a part of the perception setup? We answered this one at the beginning. We'll attempt to do audio stimuli.
In addition to the
audio in quotes.
It's so funny, like, as he's explaining to me how the stimuli stuff works, it's like, so it's really just a bunch of volumes that trigger events within things within the volumes? Yeah, basically.
Yeah, that's basically it.
Okay, cool.
It's like it's
I mean, that's all that senses really are in the sense of a, video game sense.
This thing moved within my range. Can I see it? Yes. Okay. Cool. This event triggered off behind me. Am I permitted to hear it based off of a number of things? Yep. Okay.
Yep.
So yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll get some multiple stimuli going. What is the difference between behavior tree and behavior tree component? Actually, is there a component would be something that goes on an actor. So it's do we even have those? I don't think so, but I know that we can reference them from within here. There's a way to actually get the component, because you can cache two, but there's also, I believe this one is the one that contains stop logic. Yes. The behavior tree component is what exists. It's the thing that contains the behavior tree on the actor that actually kind of allows you to interact with it through the actor, for lack of a better term. A behavior tree is the data, the tree itself, the thing that we're editing within the editor. The component allows you to do stuff like stop your logic, which actually just helped Willard out with this. Alan Willard, he's working on something really crazy and doing some minor AI stuff. And he wanted something to die. Well, unfortunately, if something dies, like AI still processes and still wants to move. Well, you can kill your logic and it'll immediately stop everything that's going on. It'll just be like, okay, we will stop executing nodes, which means, so if you're stuck in a move 2, we stop our move 2s. It'll stop processing the behavior tree itself. It locks on a node because it's more like pause logic. But I don't believe there's a start logic. There might be, hold on. Yeah, restart logic. So yeah, so stop logic is more like pause logic. So you could then be like, oh, okay, well, let's delay for a second and re-go again. This is just a way for you to gain access to, I guess, what would be a good metaphor? It'd be like you have the component is the interface that is actually is turning the crank to make the behavior tree actually run. And you're just being like, hold on, dude, just stop running the crank. And then the behavior tree itself is just sitting there like, I'm the data that's being used. Hopefully that made some sense. It made sense in my head.
I mean,
Alexander's like, no.
No, I mean, at this point, I'm just like imagining a cast of characters that you created. And,
yes!
You know.
We'll create a Disney movie out of it. It'll be really weird with catchy song tunes.
Okay, sure. I'll get that funded right now.
We'll get that funded right now. Kickstarter.
Writing an email to Tim saying, Dear Tim.
Dear Tim, can we work with Disney? Yes. And no, you're fired. Oh. Okay. How would you go about making AI that has a set pattern, i.e. attacking other enemy minions, although can receive commands from the player to walk elsewhere and do something else?
So this is kind of like a Mass Effect, I guess, where you have like your teammates that are
or turn-based strategy.
Yeah, just any of the general like you go there and then
Yeah. Actually, we'll kind of be touching on this. It's in the case of what we're going to be doing is it's going to be an interrupt. So there's something that I am just doing. I am attacking another minion. However, I have received information that an enemy player has attacked a friendly player, and now I'm going to go wreck his day. So I'm receiving an interrupt, and my behavior tree is then being forced to recalculate what my current target is desired to be, and then how long that sticks and other things are specific to the MOBA. But how long it sticks in a turn-based strategy game, or say a real-time strategy game, or a Mass Effect kind of like ordering your teammates to do things, would just stick. Your guy would be like, okay, I'm going to go to cover, because that's what I've been told to do, and that is my highest priority. So until I'm told to, fire at will or move freely or whatever you want to say, he's just going to simply take that command and then do everything else around that command. So I'm going to shoot from this location, or I'm going to throw grenades from this location. So we'll kind of be touching on that in a future stream when we start setting up the attack behavior for our minion. Is it going to be an AI for every minion or some sort of master AI that controls the minions? I'll have to get back to you on this. I'm getting to the point where I can actually test large numbers of minions on the pre-project for this. Currently, given the scope of the project, we should be able to do individual AI across the board. If it gets to the point, though, where movement becomes really, really expensive, we might try to do something where they're like grouped up. They don't actually nav on their own. They kind of just snap to the terrain, and then a glorified super component moves them down the lane, just so that we can save performance. Currently, it doesn't seem that we're going to need a master AI unless it's doing something like a broadcast. So each group has a commander listener, where it's sitting there waiting for a friendly player to be attacked, and then it announces, hey, a friendly player has been attacked, we need to go kill the enemy player that attacked him, or stop attacking that player, minions have moved into range, we need to kill the minions because minions have priority. I'll let you know. I don't think we're going to need a command AI for this, but if we need to, we need to, and we'll build one. Do you find it works better for the waypoint to make changes to the AI, or for the AI to use the waypoint and take the appropriate action for itself?
I mean, in this case, we're really doing something simple, so we're only getting basically the vector of the waypoint.
That's all I want.
But like, okay, but let's say we're doing the other thing that someone was talking about here, with the, you can have control of the minions also. Maybe the waypoint is also, you change it just from waypoint to like instruction sort of thing. So it's like if you want to go there and attack, give the waypoint, something that triggers the event when you get within range of it.
Right.
That's feasible.
Oh, or currently we have a waypoint that is just a point in space, and we know the direction we want to go. What if I want to make a choice?
Yeah.
Right? Like I could see, in that case, I want to have the waypoint influence the AI, or the AI to take the data? AI to take the data. Almost always, unless you're trying to set up non-random behavior where it's like, okay, there's a figure 8 pattern, and the middle waypoint, he's always coming back to the middle waypoint, and then one way he chooses one direction, the other way he chooses the other direction. You want the waypoint just to be, a switch.
Yeah.
And so the waypoint's like, no, you're going left. No, you're going right. That would be a case where you absolutely want fixed functionality.
So like
instead of the AI
crossroads.
making decisions.
Yeah, like maybe like a crossroads waypoint where the crossroads itself says, I have been activated, therefore flip to this other thing, then flip back as I keep getting activated. Yeah, okay.
Yep. And the last question, so to answer it within the context of this project, if only lanes have waypoints, what about the jungles? How would you influence ganking between jungles and lanes?
Well, minions
We
don't
are talking
gank.
specifically about minions. Minions don't gank.
Yeah, minions don't leave their lanes unless they're instructed to by following a player, basically, and then are kited into the jungle. Except for minions that are already just stationarily set in the jungle, in which case they just have a radius that they'll move within, and then they cut off their interest.
Right, and they would have a waypoint for their home if you pull them too far out. But even then, we don't need multiple waypoints for them to navigate home. The nav system actually handles it quite well.
Yeah.
So just so we're clear, we will not be covering bot AI for MOBAs.
Yeah,
because
that's
some
incredibly complex.
Stuff.
Incredibly
And
complex.
I would need to sit down with Mieszko for a very, very long time.
At which point he would laugh at you a few times, just trying to like.
Yes.
Just
Oh, you
trying
want to
hear you,
understand?
Ha 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 ha. Yes,
Right.
you think that's what you're going to be doing? No.
No. He's
No.
like, you have
No, we have an AI. Basically, we have like an AI super genius who works on them 100% of the time, and that's how you have to be on that level, like MOBA AI.
Yeah.
You have to be like, you got to be Mieszko sitting there cranking it out yourself.
Yeah, so
We can definitely ask him a couple of pointers.
he would probably actually come on and be like, "Oh, it's very simple."
That's
It's like, is it?
That's his logic.
I don't think so.
No big deal. We just created a whole new system of like interest heat and stuff and all that.
Yeah. You know, stuff that you'd have every day in an AI system. Just like, okay,
Well, okay,
how do we use that? It's like you don't.
But on like a base level, this is just what we're getting to. You now have basic enemies, they move to places. And you can repurpose this logic for other things. It doesn't have to be lanes. It can be like, I've clicked here, my AI should move to a point RTS style, etc. So.
Jiggling back there.
It means someone above us is really dancing hard, and so it'll make this jiggle around, and so I apologize, but that's their fault.
Okay, so coming up on the next stream, we'll continue this. We'll get them moving.
That is to say, on the next AI stream.
On the next AI stream. Honestly, I don't have the Trello in front of me. I'm not sure who's going on next. It might be Tanks. Do you have the Trello up?
I can get the Trello going.
Lauren's going to kick down the door and be like, no, we're not next.
Yeah, whatever you do, don't.
Actually, they haven't been
don't
working
get
on it, so I'm assuming it's not the Tanks stream.
All right, so the next stream up is learning
You have
live
so many
streams.
Trellos. It's not even...
I know, I have so many things that I have to keep track of. Cool.
It is.
So in May, we have Sam and Wes.
We're going to have Sam and Wes is up next. I have no idea what they're going to be working on. They're currently out in Seattle doing this VR summit thing.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully they'll come back. I should probably see about getting some DevRel tech artists on for that slot, probably, now that I'm thinking about it.
Just as backup in case because as we often send people off and then have them come in for these things, sometimes they get double booked, and then we need to make sure we have backups. Of course.
And so I'll talk to Richard about that.
But the 17th is when we are thinking Tanks Part 3 will be.
Tanks
so,
Part 3, all
so
right.
hopefully we can lock that one down 100%.
Yeah, no,
there.
they'll be doing Tanks Part 3, definitely. Lauren and Richard will be on for Tanks Part 3. What's your Thursday stream looking like?
So Thursday is looking like we're going to actually do kind of a follow-up to, we had done an enterprise interview, but we're going to be doing much more of the McLaren specific stuff. So Thursday is looking like we're going to be having, I believe it's a couple of people, Max, I think Antoine and Max should be coming on to talk about the McLaren demo specifically, showing off a couple of the how it's made stuff for our more high-end things. And that should be the main focus as far as the content. We also have some cool new announcements, etc. And I'll be reminding everybody that the May UE4 Jam pre-registration page is now up and ready. So if you're going to be in the May UE4 Jam, you can go ahead and have your team signed up there and have your name in the list.
All right.
So that's what I got.
Also, on the forums and on Twitter or whatever, if you guys want to start preloading what AI types you would like to see in the future, I don't know, maybe we could start a poll or something and start seeing what people would like to see, because Mieszko wasn't joking about the fighting game one. I was like, oh, maybe I could work with Alan Noon, because Alan Noon's a big fighting game guy.
Yeah, and he actually had started up working on some fighting game example stuff, so that would be probably not a bad idea.
Maybe we could get... I don't even know where to begin with that level of AI, but...
You know what's funny, though, is UE4,
we can do it.
Like, it's funny that we don't have that, like, we haven't covered that yet, but UE4 is used for Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter...
Guilty Gear.
Guilty, and...
Not Guilty, is it Guilty Gear?
No, it's not, it's, you're throwing me off. It's, see, I had a whole list of them in my head, but it's, Tekken.
Tekken.
And then, there's like, Rising Thunder is another one. The robot one. It's like there's so many fighting games, so it only makes perfect sense. Are we Guilty Gear also?
Yeah,
I know it's like
XRD.
Anything out of Japan. Tell me we're Guilty Gear also.
Yeah, Exerd sign or whatever, like XRD sign.
But basically, most of the fighting games, especially ones coming out of Japan, are UE4. Yeah. So it would only make sense.
It would only make sense. We should see about actually.
Is it King of Fighters? I'm trying to think.
I don't know if we got King of Fighters. I thought it was still a traditional 2D. I don't know.
Okay.
But yeah, but it would make sense. Like that was one of the ones that suggested. But if you guys have other things that you want to see, definitely we should start up a poll or something. It won't be for a while, but it allows us to pre-ramp on this kind of stuff, so I could get talking with Alan about seeing where he's at on the fighting game, or where we're at with a real-time strategy sample if we're making one somewhere.
Yeah, or at the very least, we can get ourselves trained up from them and then learn like how to make our own example and show you what we've made.
Yep. So, but alrighty, I don't have anything else. You done?
Nope, we're good. Thank you so much, Shelly. You're amazing. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
We'll see you next time.